Welcome back, movie fans, to another episode of The Movie Date with Rob and Zach, a podcast for people who like movies but don't want to be too smug about it. I am your host, Rob.
I guess, what does that make me?
You're also a host.
I am
also
host Zach. The also host.
Yes, the also host. The as equal host as Rob.
One host is equal to another.
The hostess with also the mostest.
The hostess with just the exact same amount as the first one.
Yes, they're equal and the same. That reminds me of that part of. You ever watch Lincoln? You ever watch the movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis?
No.
Yeah, it's what's the thing? There's a thing he lectured Adam Driver about in the movie. It's supposed to be his great roiling turmoil when he decides to not let the Civil War generals into Richmond so he can push for the 13th Amendment to get passed. Or is it the 14th? Did you want to slavery? 13th. It's 13th, right?
It's the unlucky one.
No, it's
probably.
the 14th one. It's the 14th Amendment.
I don't know. I need to.
The listeners will let us know how.
I need to make that. I need to read up on my history now, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm not feeling too good about this.
Now I have to control.
I'm sinking into this chair, like, as my soul is too. Like,
I'm not qualified to talk about this.
Well, this isn't, politics date with Rob and Zach or U.S. history date with Rob and Zach. We're talking about movies, baby.
The 14th Amendment. Nope. Grant citizenship to all people naturalized. Blah 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 blah. So I was right. I was right the first time. Slavery. Anyway,
Feels
he says to
like the first time that Rob was ever right.
He says to Adam Driver, things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other, and it's Euclid's axioms of whatever. It's like some old geometric law, and that's how he decides that slavery is bad or something. That's not the only thing.
I use geometry
but
to determine my moral ground.
We're not talking about Oscar-winning actors. Maybe we will be. We're talking about
like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. Do a normal person movie and show up and read your lines. Sick of all this method acting. We're talking about widows today, baby.
Oh yeah.
It's about people. It's about bank robbers. I was thinking of a clever way to spin the movie.
Are they bank robbers though? It never explicitly states what their criminal activities are.
I guess that's right. I mean, they're just regular robbers.
They're just
average Joe robber.
No, they're just criminals, just quote unquote criminals.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the movie that we saw. But before we do that, we're gonna get to some movie news, baby.
What's in the news?
The first one is not movie news, but I made Zach talk about it.
For the listener, my eye is rolling so hard.
Was it Rockstar Games?
Yeah, or Rocksteady Games is
What's the difference? Same thing, same company. Not at all.
Well, I don't even know if it's for real, but there is rumors going around that there was a rumor that Rocksteady was making a Superman game. They dashed those dreams. Yeah. Sorry, Rob. They're like, no, we're not working on Superman, guys. Christ. Just shut up.
Isn't that fair?
And then now the rumor is they're working on another Batman game. This time,
because we don't have enough of those already.
Right. This time based around my favorite New 52 Batman arc, The Court of Owls.
Yes. Very good.
So I think it might be fun.
Would you? I mean, if you had a gun to your head, that's it. Just if you had a gun to your head.
If I had a gun to my head.
No, if you had a gun to your head and you had to pick between another Batman game or an open world style Superman game, which is what they were rumored to be doing.
I'd pick neither.
You'd choose death?
Do you want to know a DC property I'd want to see made into a video game?
Really? An open world Superman game where you have all of his powers, you can fly like Skyrim to all the parts of the world and save people? It's like the new Spider-Man game, but Superman's powers.
I don't know. Give me Green Lantern or something instead. Give me something more interesting than Superman.
Superman is incredibly interesting. How dare you, sir? Open world Green Lantern would be cool. Make it like Assassin's Creed, where you can go to different planets and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember the fourth one where you're sailing across the ocean blue or whatever?
I don't know. I never made it past Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh, dude, you missed the best ones.
I'm sure.
Not the best ones. 2 is revered, but Brotherhood and Revelations are fantastic.
I have a hard time playing a franchise where they release a game every year.
Yeah. It's it's like Gibson's quality control. You don't. It's there's too much to make sure everyone is great. But for the ones that are boring, the ones that are kick ass are 10 out of 10s. I played the new one with my little brother, Odyssey, and it's awesome. You're like ancient Spartan shit, and it's pretty great.
I'm sure I could dig it. Maybe.
Yep. I like Revelations because Revelations goes back to the first one, and you get to play as Altair and you play as Ezio, and it's kind of this cool little dual story thing.
Well, that's fun.
The third one is boring because you're like in the Revolutionary War, and you're like, go deliver a letter for George Washington or something. And I'm like, no, I want to go back to murdering folks. And then the fourth one is awesome, is the pirate one. That's really great too. And then it keeps going for a while. I can't remember the rest of them.
If we're talking about DC properties that I'd want to see made into a video game,
Green
though,
Lantern
like
is-
who
that's
do
a- that's a
whose
solid
mask
pick.
do I want to get behind? Green Lantern's like up there.
Yeah, just because you could kind of make it like any RPG where you have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
where it
dude,
could
you
be
can make
fighting giant monsters, or you can
Cosmic. You could have like a skill tree where it's like different stuff you could materialize
could,
out of
like,
your ring.
you could master the different rings.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
The red lantern, the yellow lantern, all that stuff. That'd be great.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I'd do that. What about like a
Make it to where you're like not even playing as like Kyle Rayner or Hal Jordan. You're like you make your own lantern.
Yeah, make
That'd
them
be
just
baller.
make them like NPCs in the game. You have to go get your mission from Guy Gardner,
Yeah.
everyone's least favorite lantern. or whatever.
Like they kind of already have that with DC Universe Online, but I'm talking about like,
better,
but yeah,
make it better.
muy betterer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's who I'd pick.
Fair enough. I can get behind that. Since you brought up Assassin's Creed, I actually watched Assassin's Creed.
I didn't bring up Assassin's Creed. You did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I
I
did.
just got it on the brain, don't
I
you?
self segued into my own segue, but I watched the Assassin's Creed movie the last week. I just saw it in like a bargain bin for like $4.99. I was like, I'm grabbing that.
Swiped it up.
Yeah,
What'd
no,
you
it wasn't
think?
even that. It was on Black
Was
Friday.
it as bad as Prince of Persia?
I actually liked it.
Yeah?
I came out kind of like it's not great, but I came out kind of liking it.
So it doesn't fall completely into the video or into the movies
I don't
based
think
on
so.
video
I think
games
I
trap.
think there's a legitimate argument to say it's the best one,
Really?
which is before because people.
better than the new Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'll say this: there are parts of the movie that are like because just like in like anyone who's played the games will say all the interesting stuff is when you get to go back into the past and like kill Da Vinci's uncle or something,
Mhm.
and then all the boring parts are when you're back in reality tied to the Animus. That is also kind of true for the movie, but one thing they do is they make like, and people will disagree with me on this, but I really do believe it. I think Michael Fassbender acts his ass off, and it saves what could have been a really boring parts of the movie into really kind of engrossing ones.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna at the beginning of the movie, his mother is killed by an assassin to protect the whereabouts of the apple, which is like the plot device of the first two games or whatever, or a bunch of the games actually. But yeah, so his dad kills his mom and he's on the run, and then you just flash back to when he's a man and he's on death row and I'm gonna be killed, and then they fake kill him and they take him to Abstergo, and they're gonna put him into the Animus to go through his ancestor. Basically, the plot of the game, but with different characters in a different past, essentially. And
Different way of setting it up.
also, the movie is done by Justin Kurzel, who I really liked because he also did Michael Fassbender and Marilyn Cotillard in Macbeth. They did that remake of Macbeth,
Ooh.
which I thought was awesome. It's the only Shakespearean play that I can actually read and enjoy. And it's almost like Macbeth a la like 300 or something. There's a weird stylistic aspect that they bring to the movie, and he brings that into Assassin's Creed, like where all the stuff looks like all the sets, all the like old armor and stuff. It looks so real that I'm like, oh, that looks just like Spain in the 1400s or whatever. And because of that, I found it to be really engrossing, and also the action's really awesome, even though you're kind of waiting for more of the past stuff so you can go back and have some cool action stuff. But in the hands of like a lesser person, like there's a scene with Michael Fassbender and his dad where he meets his dad again and he confronts him about murdering his mom, which at first sounds really cliche and boring.
Sounds dumb.
Yeah, it does. And then I saw the scene in the movie, and it's just like if these were two bullshit actors, like Sam Worthington or somebody, it
Mhm.
wouldn't work. And the music helps it a lot. I always say music is what makes, like, if you take the music out of the scene, it's just two
For some
people.
reason, I just imagine the music in that movie to be like dun 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 dun.
It's not. It's like
No.
it's really ethereal, like stringy stuff. His brother does the scores in all of his movies. Jed
Mm.
Kurzel. I have the soundtrack to Macbeth, and there was a period where this is gonna sound really stupid and smug, but I'm gonna say it. I would go to sleep to some of the pieces of the music on that soundtrack.
Aw.
They're so dark and ominous and scary. It's like lots of like string stuff, and it's real. I don't even know how to describe it without like letting you hear it. You probably would,
See, what we're doing in this podcast is we're really just trying to lay bare Rob's soul.
but
It sounds like a Kurzel string quartet.
I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, but like they have this music and Michael Fassbender, and it's also his dad is played old. His older dad is played by Brendan Gleeson, and it's really good. It was so good. I was like, this scene is great, and it makes me like want to make people watch it just to be like, if those were just two jerk off actors, the scene would fall flat on its face. But he does it with such conviction, and the filmmaking is so good that I'm like, I gotta give props to the movie for making me care.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think I might
And at the end, you get like all the other people in Abstergo. They team up and they have like a big assassins versus everybody in the building action sequence, and it's quite good. It's not a great movie. I'm not even sure it's a good movie, to be honest with you. But it's the difference between. It's like the difference.
you just spent 10 minutes talking about it.
Yeah, it's the difference in quality of like. Can you imagine a movie where if you read the plot or something on a piece of paper, it'd probably be like, yeah, whatever. But you take out the people that make it good, like you take out the skilled director, you take out the stunt people, and you take out the great actors, and you place them with kind of mediocre people there for a paycheck.
You can do that with any project.
You could, but I still there are certain movies where I'm like, oh, you could replace him with this person, and it would be just as good. I don't think you could do that with this movie. I think this movie it's kind of weak, but all the people and the talent they stack into it make it better than it is, and I think that that's kind of a good thing.
I can dig that. Oh,
Yeah.
did you watch Ballad of Buster Scruggs yet?
No, you wanted to go see it with me, or you
No, it's on
or wanted me to
Netflix.
go see it with you.
It's a feature film on the Netflixeroo.
Talk about it and say things.
Well, I watched it, and I gotta say, man, like that is
It's about like a who directed it? It's like
Coen Brothers.
Coen
I
Brothers,
gotta
yeah,
say,
that's
it's probably my favorite Coen Brothers movie since like No Country.
I was about to say favorite Coen Brothers movie. I was like, oh, that's a
No, not my favorite Coen Brothers movie. But since No Country, like definitely, like it's a collection. It's a bunch of vignettes of like these old Western stories, and it's got some really inventive violence in it.
inventive violence. I'm always a
Inventive.
fan of inventive violence.
Like the very first vignette is Buster Scruggs himself, and it's that guy who plays the dude in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the guy who's like, they turned you into a toad.
John Turturro.
I think.
He's the there's Tim Blake Nelson, and there's George Clooney, and there's John Turturro is the one who gets like captured.
The other one.
Tim Blake Nelson,
Yes.
the skinny kind of stupid one.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's Buster Scruggs, and he does a really it opens on him like in this like stark white outfit, riding this like white horse, and he's got like a guitar, and he's just like singing a ballad about water or whatever. And he like moseys on into town and gets into like a fight and like it's all just larger than life kind of stuff.
He moseys.
Yeah, moseys.
I'm a big fan of moseying.
Fine, clops into town, whatever
No,
verb
I
you
like
want to use.
I like moseying.
And yeah, like it goes on to these other different stories that are each more just like twisted and weird than the last one. And the one I would suggest you might skip if you were like, just wanting the good ones is the one that Liam Neeson is in. He plays like an Irish carny guy who like goes around with this traveling like prose speaker.
I'm looking at the filmography.
But the prose speaker has like no arms or legs, so he's gonna like haul him everywhere and carry him in a backpack. Then he like gets a prostitute, and like the prose speaker has to like sit there in the room,
Sounds kinda
while
depressing.
it's super just weird and depressing, man. Like, but I would say it's like shot super well. Like it's all dirty and gritty.
And it's
It
a bunch
looks
of short
great.
stories. It's like an anthology.
Yeah, a bunch of vignettes.
Cool. I can dig that. What is the best Coen Brothers movie?
That's a good question.
It's
We
not
could-
Hail Caesar.
Well, we know that objectively it would probably be No Country. It won all those awards.
Do you like Burn After Reading? I like
I
that
do
one.
a lot. That's probably
I like how weird
all
it
right,
is.
I think Burn After Reading might be their most underrated.
That's true. What's their most overrated one?
You really want me to say?
Yes.
Probably Big Lebowski.
Worse than Hail Caesar? Hail Caesar is a boring movie.
I haven't seen it.
It's a movie about how much they love movies. It's one of those movies. Like, you remember when Martin Scorsese did Hugo? And it's about, like, a
I
guy.
hated that movie.
I know.
It was
It's
bad.
Old.
It was real bad.
Old directors writing movies about themselves almost. I don't like it. Yeah.
This is a glimpse into my
The
soul.
golden age of Hollywood, back when movies weren't all superheroes.
But in
and action
France.
movies. Yeah, or something. Yeah, it's boring.
Well, this is like
Yeah.
kind of like
Like The Big Lebowski, you can watch and enjoy. Hail Caesar just feels boring.
I'll have to watch it. I'll have
Don't
to
watch it.
get my take
Just
on
take my word for it. My favorite one is probably No Country, though. It's pretty great.
it. I will say
Makes you
that
want them to do more serious stuff.
my personal favorite. Wait, what did I just say my favorite one was?
You said the most. You said the most underrated one is probably Burn After.
Okay, I think my favorite one, like personal favorite, would probably be Fargo.
Yeah, it's pretty up there.
It's good, man. And I think I like it just for its silliness. Like
Yeah.
it's so sinister and silly at the same time.
Fair enough. What about Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's pretty good.
Oh Brother, Where Art There's a great fucking movie.
Yeah. The Man Who Wasn't There.
Never seen it.
Never heard of that. Billy Bob Thornton, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's probably fine.
I like Billy Bob.
The Lady Killers. Hate that movie.
Haven't seen it.
It's the one with Tom Hanks in it.
I know of it then. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's like a lot of people think it's like their worst movie or whatever.
Wait. The Lady Killers. Yeah. Where it's like they try to rob like a casino, but like he befriends an old woman or whatever. Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, a lot of people don't
I've
like
seen
it.
that movie. I didn't know that was a Coen Brothers movie.
Mhm.
All right.
They also write a lot of movies. Like a lot of movies they don't end up directing. They wrote Bridge of Spies. Well, they wrote that for
Ooh.
Steven Spielberg.
It's a heavy
They
movie.
they wrote Unbroken for Angelina Jolie, which was
It's another heavy movie.
yeah, kind of fine.
Why do they do all these
Oh,
like
we forgot one that I bet you're gonna be like, that's good. True Grit.
Oh, darn it.
That's pretty
Yeah.
great.
The True Grit remake.
They did those like back to back to back.
Their westerns are like solid, dude.
Yeah. How many have they done? They've only probably like 2.
Well, if you count No Country, that's a modern western.
Yeah.
Slash like
So here's how
drug
quickly
thriller.
they churned these out. No Country for Old Men, 2007. Also with something called Chakun Kon Cinema. I don't know what that is. But in 2008, they did Burn After Reading. 2009, A Serious Man. 2010, True Grit. Like, so they did like 4 movies in 4 years, which takes a lot.
That is
you
a
gotta,
breakneck
you
pace.
gotta churn them out. Not to mention writing all this other
And
stuff.
all of those were good.
They did Suburbicon, which was directed by George Clooney.
Hmm.
They wrote that for him. Pretty cool. Yeah. No Country is just so good though, because it just leaves you like it leaves you in like that kind of.
You know what I think it is, man? I think it's the fact that it has no score or music whatsoever. It
yeah,
just
that's
makes
right.
it so
Oh
tense.
yeah, that's right. It doesn't, does it? I'm gonna go check.
It
that
has
right
not one lick of score or music.
It's good. That only works for like a certain type of movie though. Be like that one.
That one.
It's the only kind of way you can do it. Because if you don't do that, God, it came out so long ago. Jesus.
Like almost more than 10 years ago.
Music by Carter Burwell. How is that possible?
But it's got no music.
I'm gonna see what this is all about.
You don't hear music until the credits roll.
Is that true? Is it?
It's true.
Disputes.
I will. You know what? I'll go home and pop the DVD in.
I believe. I don't not believe you, but I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? I want to see something. I'm just like looking for like anything that says no music. I'm scrolling through this.
Google why doesn't No Country for Old Men have any music?
There's definitely long stretches where it just doesn't have music. I definitely remember that. Maybe there's like little pieces of it throughout, but I'm willing to say,
Like it might have some of that like, background like tension building noise or something.
yeah, but I'm almost willing to say like even those parts. Like, I'm trying to think about like all the dialogue scenes, those long stretches of dialogue where there's just no, there's
There's
nothing
nothing even
there.
in like the tracking shots or anything like that,
Yep.
dude. Like nothing.
Differences.
I'm telling you.
I believe you. I'm looking through directing. Da-da-da-da. No, Josh Brolin. Blobbity blobbity.
What's your favorite Coen
Musical
brothers?
score and sound. The Coens minimized the score used in the film, leaving large sections devoid of music. The concept was Ethan's, who persuaded a skeptical Joe to go with the idea. There is some music in the movie scored by the Coens' longtime composer Carter Burwell, but after finding that most musical instruments didn't fit with the minimalist sound sculpture he had in mind, he used singing bowls, which are standing metal bells employed in Buddhist meditation music. Sounds kind of smug, getting into smug territory there. The movie contains a mere 16 minutes of music, with several of those being in the end credits. The
See?
music in the trailer was called Diabolic Clockwork by Two Steps from Hell. Actually,
Diabolic Clockwork.
yeah, this is the trailer music.
Oof.
They use for that. I love Two Steps from Hell.
I just love that name.
Yeah. Yeah, sound editing and effects, blah blah blah. Yeah, so mostly right.
What's your-
I love No Country for Old Men. I think it's the best one they did because I love that it just.
Yeah, but what's your favorite? That's not what I didn't ask. What was the best one? I said, what's your
It's
favorite?
probably that one.
Yeah.
I could watch it and never get like just the scene where he kills Woody Harrelson is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like not to mention like at the end it leaves you not just bittersweet, but first of all you don't even know if he kills what's her face.
He did. He totally did.
Yeah, you can surmise though. Like it leaves it open. He checks his feet, but he's a weirdo. He could check his feet for a million reasons. I like the fact that like he's like at the end of the movie he's like a ghost. Gives that kid his thing and he says I was never here.
Yeah.
He's like oh no fuck. And I like at the end a lot of people hate the ending. They're like fucking ending is fuck. Like Bill Burr did a bit of his podcast on this. Where he talks about how the ending is stupid. But I do think that Tommy Lee Jones is the main character of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to empathize with him the most. And I think it's just so hopeless and nihilistic that I kind of love it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. Anyway, more movie news. Let's get into some fun shit. Aquaman reviews, baby.
Meh.
Decidedly not meh. Overwhelmingly
I'm
positive.
decidedly meh.
What do you mean you're decidedly meh? We've had
Jason Momoa.
I don't know what that means. Momoa.
I don't know. It's play on
Aquaman is getting seemingly overwhelming positive reviews.
seemingly overwhelming.
Everyone is saying it's the best DC film to date, except for one guy I saw who said it was fine, good but not great or whatever. So good. So we might be in for you might enjoy yourself. They said it's a lot of fun. They said it is comparable to like Lord of the Ringsy Indiana Jones swashbuckling adventure kind of thing.
What?
They said it's a big swashbuckling Indiana Jones adventure. He's going to tombs looking for artifacts and stuff, and
Swashbuckling.
they're chasing down a trident, like the Ark of the Covenant and stuff. Lots of that stuff.
I guess.
What do you mean you get? It's not even. You don't have to guess about it.
I guess.
All these people seem to like it. I will beat down your cynicism.
I guess.
Are you excited for Aquaman hearing?
No.
Are you excited for it hearing that it's pretty good?
I mean, that's nice that I guess DC finally found their footing. But
I don't think they did. I just think that like, this is just a good movie. I don't even think like it's gonna be like they say it's their best movie. I don't think that's possible. I think their best movie is already gone, so it's fine. It was Suicide Squad for all those of you wondering which the best movie was.
Really?
No, not really, you idiot. No, the best movie is Batman v Superman. But
I wish we could just go back to the good old days of the Nolan verse.
You mean the completely uncomic booky movies where nothing was comic book at all? Everything had to be super real.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's cool for 3 movies. After that, you just start going like, I get it. It ended exactly the way it was supposed to. It's done now. I'm happy.
You know it's not cool for 3 movies? Iron Man.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like the second or third Iron
The
Man
second one
movies.
is hot garbage. I do kind of like the third one, even despite the fact that he's in the suit for like 15 minutes in the whole movie because it constantly runs out of batteries and shit.
Yeah, like
I like Shane Black. That's why I give it a lot of like he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and stuff with Robert Downey Jr. So I kind of like the feel and the kind of the humor of the movie and stuff. It's just kind of like I hate the way they adapt the Extremis arc.
Yeah, that's
Like it's
dumb.
a pretty heavy kind of story arc, and it's kind of handled in a silly way. But there are parts of it that I do like. Iron Man now works best in those big Civil War, Infinity War movies.
Yeah, where he's like a bit part.
Yeah, and because Iron Man fighting a bad guy on his own doesn't make sense anymore because he's he's the de facto leader of the Avengers. So if you fought a bad guy, I would just if there was an Iron Man 4, I would just be like, but where's Hawkeye? Where's Vision at?
Yeah, where's the rest of you?
Yeah. But yeah, all of his best recent performances are in those movies though. Like Spider-Man Homecoming, he's great there.
Mhm.
Civil War, I think that's the best he's ever been. As just from an acting perspective. Like that's how I think he's awesome, and I thought he was great in Infinity War. So I don't want to see another Iron Man movie. But yeah, why is the first one good? Why do we like the first one so much?
Because it was groundbreaking, man. It showed you what superhero movies could be, really.
Yeah,
Like-
but have you ever? When was the last time you watched?
It was like okay, it's like we had the Nolan stuff come out, and then all of a sudden it was like Iron Man. Here's Iron Man. Check this out, and that was the first thing that for the longest time actually felt like comic booky.
Yeah, it was
And
the
like
same year as the
and
Dark
true
Knight.
and true to like what we expect from it. You
Yeah,
know,
what an
like,
Iron Man movie would be like.
today.
No, like it was a perfect example of what an Iron Man movie would be like if you
Right.
made one.
Yeah.
It also came out the same year as the Dark Knight, so you had both of those movies
Mhm.
right next to each other, which is interesting. That was like a shifting point in superhero movies.
Oh yeah.
2008, because
It
right
was
after
the beginning of the end.
No, I think it was the beginning of them getting like solidly good. Because like you can like Batman Begin, like Batman Begins, I think is a great movie, but you can still watch that movie and the ending is still so silly.
Yeah.
We got to stop the train before it gets to the water thing and it explodes. Like that's like an actual line in the movie. It's a lot of like silly exposition and stuff. But The Dark Knight is bulletproof and it's the only one to win an Oscar, I believe. Except for like
Mhm.
Suicide Squad, which got like best makeup or something.
This still doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like what else came out that year? The Suicide Squad. Like what other movies that had really great makeup and effects?
I can't remember. I'm sure there was someone.
Better than Suicide Squad.
I don't know. I mean, you look at like Killer Croc and stuff. There's some nice makeup effects and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. No, but like after 2008, you got like 2009 was, come on, 2009. Like Watchmen, that was a big game changer. You had 2010 was like Thor or something, which I liked. So that's when they started getting like a little more daring and a little more like, taking them a little.
It's also
serious, more seriously.
it laid the template for like the Marvel formula.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a big blue light that shoots up into the sky, and there's a Nick Fury cameo. It really did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, Rob, do you want to get into the movie that we came here to talk about?
Yeah. Do we have any other movie news? I don't think I can remember.
Not really. I mean, I did. Like, there's some trailers that came out and stuff. But
Oh yeah, we should probably talk about Captain Marvel. Just before.
we can wait.
Really? You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Why would we not talk about it? It just came
So
out.
we've
like
already
yesterday.
talked about it.
We'll do it real quick then. Let's do it that way.
A new
Did-
Captain Marvel trailer
Did
came
you
out,
think it was better?
and Nick Fury pets a cat.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb. Did you think this was better than the last one? Like, I liked the tone of the last one. I just wanted more information. Like, where is she from?
You still don't get
Who's
to
she?
see why she's punching that old lady. In
Yeah.
fact, you just get more old lady punching.
Yeah.
Like, we know it's because the old lady's a Skrull.
But if you don't know that, she just punches an athletic old lady.
Like, is this an anti-hero movie? Who are you, Captain Marvel?
I thought it was better, but I'll be honest, I'm not jumping up ready to see it. I know that sounds kind of like deflating. Like I want to see it, but I want to know like what is it about?
Like, you know what I want to see, man? Like, and I know I've said it before, and I keep saying it. Like, the big tentpole, blockbustery, superhero, hot garbage. Like,
To die forever.
I don't want it to die forever. I'm
Seems
just
like
like, can I take a break? Can I take like a hiatus? Like,
But you can already do that. You can just not see them.
really, what I want to see are more films like.
Spawn.
No, I want to see more films like Black Klansman
mean
or
like-
like
I didn't
Sorry
mean-
to Bother You, like those weird subversive, get in your head
Real
kind of.
smug movies.
No, not even smug, man. Not even like
You want to see more regular movies. Almost the best way to say that.
I mean, I don't want to go see like freaking, The Breakup or anything. I don't want to go see like,
Like the Jennifer Aniston movie.
yeah, sleeper hit of what I don't want to go see like anything that's got like what's her face in it, that old lady who wins all the Oscars.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I don't want to go see like 5 Meryl Streep movies. I just want to see like
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in forever.
stuff that's, and I don't want to use this word because it is kind of I don't like avant-garde, but like stuff that's
Avant-garde might be the
different, man. Stuff
Avant-garde
that's
might be the perfect word for that.
stuff that I've never seen before, man. Stuff that breaks some molds.
But I think a lot of the stuff that you've never seen before can be done in like an action blockbuster. Because I feel like to do some ideas, you need the budget and the team of people behind making those kind of movies. I don't disagree with you. Like seeing like a movie, I don't like if I don't ever want to see like another superhero movie that's like Ant-Man and the Wasp or something because they're just real boring. Even though they're funny, they're really boring. But also, if you wanted to tell, like, think of a story that, whether it doesn't even have to be a book, but think of something that's like really hard to film.
Yeah,
But
stuff
that
like
would be,
Cloud Atlas, man. You remember that movie?
yeah, that's
I
like
want to see more stuff like that.
yeah,
Just
that's
like really like make you think, make you feel stuff.
a lot of people hated that too.
all in one. I liked that movie. I thought it
Me
was
too.
decent.
I thought they were nonsense. But yeah, that's an example of like a movie that's like that's a big. You need the team and the money to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't disagree with you. I don't want them, but I would just say like, if you don't want to see them, don't see them. Like I will see them. Don't worry, listeners. We'll see them all because we
Yeah,
have
we're
to.
gonna see them. We're gonna talk about all of them. Don't
But,
you? Don't
But
fret.
but it seems like we have a nice little lull here because in the next 6 months we only have like 2, so we'll have plenty of time to see all sorts of goody goodies.
Yeah, man. Let's go see that. Let's go see the weirdness, the goodness,
Oh, I thought that
the
was,
off the wallness.
I thought that was an actual movie, like The Weirdness. What's that?
I mean, there
about?
is a movie called The Whackness.
Yeah, I saw that.
I like that movie.
Ben Kingsley is in it.
Yeah,
Josh from Drake
he's
and
like
Josh.
a pothead therapist. It's great. Love that movie.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, I like the end of the Captain Marvel trailer where she's like got her full superpowers and she's flying and blowing shit up. Looks
She
pretty
got
cool.
the OG like helmet on too. That was
Yep.
pretty cool.
Ronan, you see the back of Ronan's face for a second. What's that
The
guy
back
about?
of his face.
The back of his head. Why is he? Ronan is a Kree, right?
Yeah.
And so the rest of
Yeah, but he's like a fanatical Kree.
yeah. So he's not like Miss. What's her name? What's the character?
Yeah, it's weird because like all those other people,
Is she a member of,
they
like-
look like humans, not like
Some of them.
blue skinned Kree.
Well, there's one dude when she's walking next to him, and she's like, "We're Kree, we're noble warriors or whatever." And then one of them guys like a big bald blue guy.
No,
Is she part of like what is the name of her?
Captain
team?
Marvel was supposed to have been like infused or mutated with Kree DNA.
Yeah. See, you've already told me more than that trailer did because I
She's
figured-
not actually a Kree.
What's the name of her team? Is she on like a team? Like
Yeah,
people? Like,
I
is it
forget
the Nova?
what
It's not the Nova Corps, is it?
No. Nova Corps something completely different.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think Jude Law is supposed to be playing like Marvel.
Yeah.
And he's the one who was supposed to have given her powers in the first place.
He looks kind of like getting bad guy feels, but I'm not sure from that trailer. There's a part where he goes, "You're not as smart as you think," but there's like evil music playing up as he says it. So I'm like, I don't know if that's a misdirect there. And why are people freaking out about? Maybe you can answer this. Why are people freaking out about scrolls? Like, what's the big deal?
Well,
They
here's
can
the
look
thing.
like other people. I
Give
know
it- yeah.
that.
So pretty much throughout the
Marvel-
last 10 years of Marvel movies, the fact that Captain Marvel's coming out and they're introducing Skrulls, which they weren't allowed to do up until like
Because Fox owned.
yeah, means that all of your favorite Marvel characters in the cinematic universe could have been a Skrull this whole time.
But that's not going to happen.
I don't know. With the way Infinity War turned out, it could. They could try to go into some like half-baked secret invasion storyline.
I doubt it though. I mean, how would you feel if you love Iron Man or something, and you figured out Iron Man this whole time has been a Skrull? Like, really, Iron Man and Iron Man 1 is a Skrull? It feels like a cheap out to like make one of your characters a Skrull.
No, but let's say from like Civil War on or something. Like maybe there was some kind of like
How is it possible that they just could have been one? Like, is it like the Skrulls? How do they do that? They just become you and knock you out or something? And
Yeah.
That doesn't seem. From the way people were talking about it, it was like they were like so stoked that they were like once they, I don't know, once they take you, they get your powers or something, and they can like or something like that. They made it seem like it was a big deal, and I'm like, no, they're just things that can look like you, and I'm like, okay, but they're not gonna do that. Like I'd be willing to bet money they're not gonna do that.
I don't know.
We'll see. It feels like it would be very frustrating. The only way you could get away with it is if you have to do it to like Hawkeye or Black Widow or someone that people are like, yeah, that's fine. Because if you do it to Captain America or someone, you're gonna be like, so Captain America has been on the run with like why a scroll?
Well, there's a theory that like the Hulk, Bruce Banner, in Infinity War is actually a Skrull.
Why though?
I don't know because he can't turn into
So
the Hulk.
when the scroll takes over a human's body, did they like think they are the person, or do they know? Do they know they're hiding?
They know that they're a Skrull.
So why
There's
would
even a Super Skrull. He has all the powers of the Fantastic Four.
So why would he? Why would a scroll be like acting like the Hulk? Like why would like if you were a scroll
To secretly invade, man, to take over the Earth.
But if you were a scroll, wouldn't you like want to be on the down low? Like why would you be standing next to like two wizards and Iron Man as a big thing comes toward you and Iron Man goes, "Will you go fight him, please?" And then you go like, "Yes." Like I mean, if you were a scroll, you'd be like you'd be trying to hide on the down low. Like there's a part of the movie where he slaps himself. He's like, "Come on, Hulk," and then Hulk goes, "No!" Like that means he's acting. He's faking that. That's like a weird like that. They're not doing that. It's like
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
It's all a mystery.
I know there's time travel in Avengers 4. That's all I know. Which we're getting a trailer for this week. Anyway,
Are we? Are we though?
they said they're dropping it Wednesday. Today is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Did we get it today?
No trailer.
Okay. All right.
It was all a ruse. So.
Very good.
Okay.
Let's talk about Widows.
So Widows, according to the internet, Widows is a police shootout leaves 4 thieves dead during an explosive armed robbery attempt in Chicago.
Chicago, baby.
Their widows, Veronica, Linda, Alice, and Belle, have nothing in common except a debt left behind by their spouse's criminal activities.
And they got no husbands, baby. That's why they're widows.
Hoping to forge a future of their own terms, Veronica joins forces with the other 3 women to pull off a heist that her husband was planning.
Yeah.
Now, the synopsis for this, according to Google, sounds a little more like capery and Ocean's 11 than what we saw.
I think you meant Ocean's 8, the one with all the ladies in it.
I just meant Oceans in general.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Rob, what were you expecting going to this film?
I was expecting a lot because I like the director,
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, not to be confused with the other Steve McQueen who's dead and a white man.
Or Lightning McQueen.
Or Lightning McQueen, who is an animated car from the series Cars by Pixar.
Right.
Available on all streaming services everywhere. Probably. I don't know. But yeah, I had high hopes for it because I've seen all of his other films and I like them a lot. I think he's you talk about like an avant-garde guy.
Yeah.
You would like all of those movies. I mean, let me rephrase that. I don't even know if you'd like them. They're great movies.
I would, even if I didn't really like it, I would have to respect it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's definitely one of those. Like I said,
it's like the Maltese Falcon. Like I'm gonna maybe fall asleep, but then I'll wake up 5 minutes later and be like, I respect this movie.
Yeah, you won't fall asleep during hunger. You'll just be like horribly. It's like watching people be dehumanized for 2.5 something hours, and it's real heavy. Yeah, but it's he's really good, and he has a really good way. Like all of his other movies, they're like small things. Like Shame is Michael Fassbender's in all 3 of them. He's in 12 Years a Slave, Hunger, and he's in Shame, and he plays like a ruthless, racist overseer in 12 Years a Slave, and in Hunger he plays Bobby Sands of the IRA, and in Shame he plays like a corporate big wig guy, some guy works in a big office, makes money, and he's like has a big sex addiction or whatever, and it ruins his life. And all those movies are really small. They feel very personal and intimate. Probably made him for like less than $2 million each. And then he did 12 Years a Slave, and it got him. He won Best Picture, I think, or Best Director for one of those, and it won a lot of prestige for him. And now he's doing this.
And this
feels like his biggest thing.
This feels like Grand Theft Auto mixed with like Ocean's 8 mixed with
The
like
Town or something.
yeah, dude, it's a combination of a lot of different feels of a lot of different genres almost,
Yep.
but it mashes together so perfectly here.
Yeah, it's got its own sort of feel too, even though it borrows some what we would call like some tropes or cliches. It
Especially
feels like its own
in
thing.
like dialogue and stuff a lot too.
Yeah, but it feels like its own thing, even from the opening part where like you see that opening chase all from the inside of a van. I was like, that's interesting. I never would have seen something like that. But that
Yeah, it
was
was really cool. That
yeah,
opening sequence was like heavy, dude.
yeah. But that's what my expectations. What were your expectations?
My expectations going in was not that great, honestly. Like I knew that the cast was stacked, and I was like, a stacked cast doesn't necessarily make a great
Is it stacked? It's only
movie.
got like 3 big people in it.
I mean, dude, listen to this cast. You've
Viola
got Viola
Davis,
Davis,
Colin
you've got
Farrell.
Michelle Rodriguez, Liam Neeson, Colin Farrell, John Bernthal. He's not in there for very long.
Nope. I
Um,
have a big criticism of him though. It's
you
like-
you have Robert fucking Duvall.
yeah.
And then you've also got these newer actors who have been doing really great things,
Daniel
like
Kaluuya.
Brian Tyree Henry. He's on Atlanta.
And then Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out's there.
Yup.
Chick
You've
from I can't remember her name, but she's from Bad Times at the El Royale. Plays Bernice or something. I can't remember.
Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah, she's great.
She's wonderful. I was like, oh, it's our girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elizabeth Debicki. Is that how you pronounce that? I've seen her somewhere before.
Is she the blonde?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know who she is.
I don't know. I could have sworn I've seen her somewhere before, but yeah, like
So
the cast.
low expectations. Why were your expectations kind of lower?
Because it looked just like any other kind of like crime thriller thing.
Really, those trailers
you know?
were pretty.
Like, yeah, the trailers were
effective.
intense, but that could be totally misleading.
That's true. We talked about this. With,
Plus, like, I'm wary of any crime thriller with Liam Neeson in it ever since Taken. So
that's not a crime thriller. That's an action movie.
whatever.
He's not solving crimes. He's
like, I have a certain set of skills.
There's a hilarious YouTube video of like
those skills I help rob banks.
there's a hilarious video on YouTube of I think it's from the first Taken, and it's him climbing over a fence, and the amount of cuts that it takes to get him over that fence is hilarious. It's like 14. I mean, imagine like watching a guy climb over a fence and down the other side, and the camera is just like this side, that side, this side, that side, cut, climbing up because he's like 50 and he can't just climb over a fence like he's a young man anymore. And it was just so comical that they're trying to edit their way around his age.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, just don't even put a fence there. Do something else. And it's, I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's whatever. But that part made me laugh because it's like 19 cuts or something crazy like that. And it'll
That's
make
insane.
you laugh. I'll show it to you when we get out of here. But yeah, so lower expectations. Trailers can mislead you. Like the trailer for that movie, The Mule, looks really good. But
Yeah.
but I also said like
I have
it's
a
the
feeling
music.
it's gonna have like the same like weird like photography style as Gran Torino and shit. Like it's I don't know. Like,
Yeah. But it looked good though. That trailer makes you go like, "Oh, this is a."
oh, it's so
We have
tense,
to
man.
see
It's
this.
so tense.
That's why I said like music does do a lot of it. But yeah, so low expectations. I'll start with you. What did you think overall?
Overall, I thought it was a really solid movie. I mean, it didn't blow me out of the water per se.
Yep.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching it. There are some parts in it where you're like, oh yeah, I know what's gonna happen here. Oh, okay. Whereas like maybe you're not so avid moviegoer would be completely taken aback by those twists and turns. Like I kind of saw a lot of it coming. So that was like I was hoping for maybe a little bit more, cover up on the intrigue, but that also kind of speaks to like how grounded and almost real world this movie feels.
Yep.
Like none of it feels like blown out of proportion or anything.
Bank robber movies have spoiled
Like it
us.
feels like this could have actually happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Whereas like when you watch movies like even like charming movies like Ocean's 11 or whatever, or a movie like Heat where you run down
Or the
street.
Italian Job.
Yeah, where you run down the street with an AK shooting it into the sky with a bag full of $90 million or something, and you somehow get away with the money. Whereas this feels very much like if you had to rob this, which is not a bank, it's not a bank robber movie.
Now, earlier I said it was Grand Theft Auto mixed with other stuff. Scratch that, because it's not at all.
Yeah.
It's way more grounded than that.
Yeah. Which is not to say that it doesn't have any style or
Actually,
any atmosphere, but it definitely, it's very grounded and everything feels relatively real.
And none of these people and I love movies where it's like no one's good, like no one is like a good guy. They're just trying to make it, or they're
It's
just
weird. We don't have the good guy detective who's on the case.
Yeah, there's none of that.
Yeah.
It's all just from the criminal perspective.
Yeah.
No interrogation scenes, no like
Where's the money?
yeah, it's like the opposite of Zodiac. Whereas like that in that movie, it's literally like that. That's why I hate
the David Fincher movie?
I hate that movie so much.
I kind of liked it.
Don't.
I like Jake Gyllenhaal in it and Robert Downey Jr. where he's like, Chris, I want a gun.
I know. I like. There's lots of parts in it where the emotion, especially portrayed by Viola Davis, she does a stellar job here.
She definitely does. I like the movie a lot too. I think it's really solid. But as I got home and I started to think about some of the things, the stuff that I didn't like started poking its way out a little more. Just because when you go back into it, and some of it I get why they do. When we get into spoilers, I'll get into like really specific reasons why. But like there are characters in the movie who almost feel like they're irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you figure out what happens to them in the plot. Now, this is based off of a book. So to some degree, depending on how faithful you want to be to your source material, you might have to stick with that. But also, when I'm reading some things, I'm like, why does this character even matter if in 30 minutes they're out of the story forever? Why not just scribble them out of the story? And some of that is because, well, you have to have things happen to other people because people don't just start planning a bank robbery or whatever. But that's the biggest thing that bugged me was just some characters felt superfluous. Some people also, without spoiling too much, some people die in ways that I think is really like for all the hype they give certain characters, they certainly go out in a way that I'm like, that's a waste.
Well, underwhelming?
Yes.
Well, I think that kind of speaks to the groundedness and real worldness that it feels like.
I guess. I don't know if I agree with that. We'll have to get that in spoilers. What are some of the what's the thing this movie does the best though? What's the good stuff they do? What's the best? Probably performances, for sure.
Definitely performances.
Yeah.
Are one of the best parts about this movie.
Yeah.
And also Daniel Kaluuya's character, you feel like the sinisterness of that guy. Like you feel like this is a guy who is, from the streets, and he's still trying to be that hard, brutal guy, but be as like sharp and quick-witted as he possibly can. And like that part, and I think it's in the trailer too, where he's like staring up at that guy or whatever, like in the basketball gym.
That was kind of weird.
Ooh, man, it made my skin crawl, dude, because you feel it.
Yeah, there's parts about him I like. There's also parts where I go, we're gilding the lily a little bit here, trying to make him the scariest man in the world. Especially like where the story takes his character through the movie. I felt that it doesn't wrap up in a way that I was like satisfied with at all.
You didn't feel satisfied with the enforcer's arc?
No, I liked some of that. I don't like the way it ends, to keep it spoiler free right here. I like some of the way, not just the characters. I like the way, and this is like a direction thing. I like the way they choose to direct parts of the movie.
It's shot great.
Particularly, there's a part, not just, we talked a little bit about the opening chase sequence. It's shot mostly from the opening of the back of this van, and it's very, very gritty, for lack of a better word. There's also a part where Colin Farrell is
visceral.
leaving. Yeah, there's a part where Colin Farrell, to spoil a little bit, he's leaving a meeting and he gets in the car with his wife and his lady or whatever.
And it's just one long shot of them in the car ride going like through like what, 5 or 6 blocks.
Yeah, to his house.
And he stops, gets out.
Yeah, which shows I thought was great because it shows the diversity of like going from, in 6 blocks, you will go from the ghetto to a house with a full security system and a gate and shit.
I thought that was cool.
But also it's a nice like 4-minute scene where like they have to memorize all the dialogue and you don't see their faces. It's the shot of the car as it's driving.
Right.
And you just hear his voice in the back. And I was like, that's different. I never would have thought of something like that if I was a director, which I'm not. But but
And it's a good part of like the character work,
yep.
where it's his like right hand woman, being like, shut the fuck up, you don't get to complain and stuff, like,
Yeah.
grow up.
Did you feel that we lacked a little too much context for some of the characters, particularly like Colin Farrell, maybe Robert Duvall? There's a lot of unspoken history that we're meant to assume, where I feel
Hmm.
like I'm not always a fan of this, but a little exposition wouldn't have hurt anything. Did you feel any of that?
I mean, you're probably right,
Yeah.
but again, I like that sort of thing. The less I know, and the more that's just portrayed in
Yeah.
short bursts that aren't actually explained, I like.
Yeah, we get to assume some stuff. Did you find John Bernthal's accent to be frustrating because it's the same accent he uses in every role ever?
It was just John
It's
Bernthal.
his tough. Have you heard John Bernthal speak in real
Let's
life?
be honest, John Bernthal was the worst part about this movie.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying is, have you heard him speak in real life in an interview?
Yeah.
He doesn't sound like mind your own business, Red. That's like not his real voice. I want someone to cast him where he does a normal speaking voice instead of East Coast tough guy voice that he does in every role ever.
There's a movie.
He does the same voice in
there.
Sicario,
All right, Rob, I got you.
and Punisher,
I got you
and
one.
Baby Driver.
He is. I forget the name of it, but he's in a movie with Tom Holland. Okay,
It's
and
a Netflix movie. It's
he
the
plays a
Pilgrimage
monk
or whatever.
Yeah, and he doesn't speak at all.
And he's like, then he does lots of sword fighting and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I heard it's supposed to be pretty good. Is it good? I'm not watch it.
I haven't watched it, but it's supposed to be good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so instead of being a strong brooding,
I listened to a podcast where he talked about it.
so instead of being a strong brooding East Coast tough guy, he's a strong brooding
Fatherly.
silent guy who says
like,
nothing.
Yeah.
That seems pretty low hanging fruit sack.
He's a father figure.
I guess.
He's a monk.
Fair enough. But John Bernthal, if you're listening to this, you're a good actor and I like you. Do other voices. I believe in you. You can do it.
I'm John Bernthal.
Mind your own business, Red. I'll put him in the morgue. Anyway, yeah. I thought he was kind of boring. And I feel like he's morphing into a Punisher-esque typecast thing, and I don't want that for him. So
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy getting millions of dollars. Anyway, let's see some other stuff. Liam Neeson. Do we like Liam Neeson in this? I thought he was pretty good.
I mean,
There's a pretty good scene where he's in a church at a funeral. Keep it spoiler free.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he does a lot of great face acting without saying anything, which I thought was pretty
yeah,
good.
like I said, the emotion conveyed by all the actors in this movie is top notch. Like, however McQueen got to pull that out of them, I'll never know, but it was really good. Like
Yeah.
across the board, really.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. He does a great. There's a scene in Hunger where it's. You watch Game of Thrones at all?
Nope.
Okay, it doesn't matter. There's a Game of Thrones actor and Michael Fassbender, and Michael Fassbender is about to go on a hunger strike in the prison, and the scene is about 20-something minutes long, and it's one camera, and Michael Fassbender's on one side, and the other guy's on one side of this table, and the camera's just slowly zooming in as they talk about this time Michael Fassbender killed a horse because it was suffering, and he did it because he knew it was right. And it's about 20 minutes of all dialogue, and it's fantastic. It's like because that movie is like kind of like No Country for Old Men we were talking about. It's long stretches of no dialogue and no music and just and like horrible human silence. And that scene is the big scene of the movie because they rehearsed it for 4 weeks, and him and the Michael Fassbender got an apartment together to rehearse the scene over and over again.
I will say this.
So this guy
it's not a
has
spoiler, but the opening scene where you see like Liam Neeson just like octopusing Viola Davis's face. That's a little jarring for some reason.
and they're making out or whatever.
I don't know. It's not because it's like an interracial thing. It's because it's just like,
He's a weird kisser.
yeah, they kiss funky and just like I understand like the moments that he does with them, like trying to establish, that they were so connected and so
Yeah.
like in
This is
love and
another
part of each other's lives.
Yep.
And you feel that, you do.
But a
But to
little-
have that right there, like at the very beginning, is just a little jarring because it comes like you get that chase sequence and shit like right after it, and it's just like boom, it like throws you like out of whack.
Sure. I'm going to piggyback on that and say I think that's another example of where a lack of context hurts what could be the relationship. A little more exposition about what they went through. Or what
We don't even know her first name until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Her first name is not stated once until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, they call her Miss what's her name? Whatever her Miss
Rollins.
Rollins, yeah. Which I think is fine, but like we're meant to know that they loved each other very much. Over the course of the movie, we learned they had not a falling out, but a deep tragedy, which we'll get into in spoilers. And I feel like you can fill in more. I feel like Steve McQueen is a good enough director. He can fill in the blanks while keeping a lot of that
Well, he does
mystery.
fill in the blanks, but not when you need it.
Yeah.
It's he fills in the blanks like when it doesn't matter anymore at that point in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's talk about. It's not an action movie, so we can't really talk about action scenes. Let's talk about. What's a good thing to talk about?
How it looked like Robert Duvall was forgetting his lines.
Look, he's an old guy, man. He got
Yeah. He's ancient.
Is he good? Do we like him in the movie?
I mean, it's Robert Duvall.
Thought he was okay.
For like a guy who's like 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Fair enough. Yeah. Did you feel like did you want the relationship between him and Colin Farrell? Did you want more context? Or did you want more stuff?
No, I liked it the way it was. Especially like in that scene where Colin Farrell had just like fired the publicist guy or whatever that they've had for 30 years.
Yeah, and he reveals that he went with
a black guy or
the
whatever,
preacher.
and you get the the racist outrage from Duvall's character, but he tries to reel it in and stuff.
Yeah.
You can see him trying to have restraint on it, but also just like you can tell that Farrell's character is going down this road of like he doesn't want this. He doesn't really care anymore, you know?
But there's also parts of it where you feel, I'm not even gonna say you feel sorry for him, but you feel like he's saddled with the fact that his dad was a horrible criminal and now he has to deal with that reputation,
Right.
even though he doesn't really do anything to earn it in a way. He's also is a racist like his dad to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like, speaking of race, this movie does deal with some racial elements throughout the movie. Did you feel all those were handled really well? There's one part that made me cringe a little bit.
Which part?
I'll get to that spoiler. We'll get to that spoilers. But and it's not the part you're probably thinking of right now. But I thought it was mostly handled pretty well, especially as it pertains to Viola Davis and Liam Neeson's character. But that was pretty emotionally gratifying, for lack of a better word.
For sure.
Trying to think of the ladies. What do you think of Michelle Rodriguez? Thought she was great.
I mean,
She plays like, the reason I say she's great because I see the face you're making right now. She plays like alpha females a lot in a lot of these movies, and I don't always like
this
it.
wasn't really an alpha female.
Exactly.
This
She
was
feels
like a
like
woman. This was just a woman at the end of her rope.
Yeah, she feels like she would go to the PTA meetings. And that's what I like it because that's a normal person.
Right.
That's what I like about it. I talk about like the difference between making like they don't do this in any part of the movie.
You never really see Michelle Rodriguez
as
in
vulnerable.
in a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like she's in Fast and Furious movies and a few Resident Evil movies. It's nice to see her do a movie where she can
like the scene where she's trying to like figure out what's on the blueprints and stuff, and she finds the architect or whatever.
Which at first I thought was a setup, and then as apparently it's not as the movie continues. And I was like, oh, that was very good.
Yeah, like you're like, was she acting or whatever during that? And then you're like, nope. She totally just kind of broke down and lost it, just like he did.
Yeah,
like,
which I thought was very good. Good for you, Michelle Rodriguez. I'm proud of you. Hit the subscribe button. You know you want to.
Deals a lot with domestic abuse. This movie.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. In more ways than one, I would say. Like not just like.
And how far one's willing to go just to like save their own soul, for lack of a better word.
Or even you could even say the opposite of that too. There's definitely that, but there's also how much people might endure to have a certain lifestyle.
That too.
Contained. Let's go ahead and get into spoilers because we don't have too much time left. I felt this is a good movie. I think you should go see it. And I think you should buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. So yeah, that's my rating or whatever. I think it'll probably get some awards for some people, even though I think as a whole, it's probably not going to be better than some of the other things it's going up against.
Like,
Um,
I'm gonna be honest. It's some of the actors in here, like Brian Tyree Henry. That's some of the best stuff I've seen him do.
he's
And like
he plays Mulligan, not Mulligan, the other guy, Jamal
he
something,
plays
the guy
the
running
guy
for
running
alderman.
against Mulligan
Yeah,
for the I even forget the office.
alderman.
Yeah, alderman of the ward.
Yeah,
And
I thought he was great. I thought he was better than Daniel Kaluuya.
it's a great clash between like guy from the streets who wants to
Get
leave the
clean
life behind
ish.
and yeah, and not
Guy
really
from Silver Spoon privilege
yeah.
scene.
He wants better things for himself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But he's still got the uh the hard edgeness to him or whatever.
Yeah, doesn't even seem
Like
like
that scene where he confronts Viola Davis's character in her apartment.
with her dog.
Whew,
It's like,
man,
ugh.
that's legit charming creepy guy.
Yeah, it also seems very much more subdued, and I think that's why I liked it more than Daniel Kaluuya's navel gazing, for lack of a better word,
Mm.
is because that feels like if you're a terrible person who's blackmailing an ex bank robber's widow, that's probably how the conversation would go, as opposed to some big, long, drawn out speech
And you
where you
also
tell a disturbing story or something. I don't
I
know.
don't know if this is him just being nervous from working the scene or if it was like just really good acting, but you kind of get like hints in there that like he's uncomfortable with this new area of his life or whatever and like having to go in there and confront Davis. Like you get hints of like he's not totally like in control of the situation or he doesn't feel as if like I don't know. Did you
Yeah.
feel any of that?
Yeah. Also, I think it's probably because of the necessity. Because they steal it. I mean, to explain some of the plot, Liam Neeson at the beginning of the movie, him and his crew steal a bunch of money from him, or do they?
And then they get blown up in a van, or
Oh,
do they?
yeah. They do, except for we're in spoilers now. Except for Liam Neeson's character, but they steal money from him, and one way or another, I guess he needs that money back because he's fighting against really rich people, essentially.
hmm
But no, I thought he was good, and I did feel like a little bit of that imbalance from him, and that's why I think that's why I liked it so much.
Like when he's confronting the pastor and trying to get his endorsement.
Yeah,
He's trying to act like big and tough or whatever, but at the same time, you can tell there's a nervousness to him. Like,
yeah.
this isn't really
He's not used to asking people for help.
right.
I think is part of it. Oh, that's another. Now that we're in spoilers, I can talk about some characters that I thought were maybe a little misused or felt kind of superfluous to the movie. What's the name of the blonde lady's name? She's John Byrne.
Alice,
Yeah.
or the actress's name is Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah, we'll call her Alice. She so John Bernthal is kind of a douchebag and implies that he beats her up.
Kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, well, I mean, we see 3 seconds of him, so I'm filling in some blanks here with some whatever the dialogue tells us. But we know that he beats her up when he's down on his luck, and whenever they're making a lot of money, he's really nice to get along with or whatever. So he's probably an animal of some sort, and it
If
throughout.
you're implying that the Alice character was like superfluous and useless to the story,
No, I'm implying that the man that she hooks up with is.
Well, no, because it's a good plot device for them to, get the lowdown on the
Yeah, and
blueprints.
what was that word? This is a plot device. I mean, you can find another way to do that and show that she is
But
not.
it also builds her character because she's come from this place of like abuse with her mother and John
I agree.
Bernthal's character,
I agree with
and
all
so
that.
it's just another facet of the abuse that she's having to go through or putting herself through.
I agree. I think there's.
I think it works.
I-
I don't think that
I think there's a smoother way to do it without introducing.
like the sugar daddy character works. Rob, come on,
I don't think it
it's
does.
fine.
I think it's that. I think it's.
It's
fi-
there
I
where
think
she
it's-
learns how to like take what she wants rather than just like let things happen to
Yeah,
her or whatever.
I think it's fine. I think that's what you said it. I think it's fine, but I didn't feel like it was necessary, and I thought that it probably could have been done smoother. Because at the end of the movie, I found myself, oh, so that dude's just gone or whatever. Is that are you scoffing at me?
I'm scoffing at your denouncement of it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
I think that it's one of the parts of the movies that like gives more credence to the empowerment of women that's felt throughout the movie.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
It's one of the bigger things.
I just felt it could have been done better, and I don't like it. I don't like it when you have to give a character like. Here's what I would have liked better instead of doing that, because the blueprints almost become. The blueprints are superfluous, because if you're writing the movie, you can find 1.5 million ways to get the answer to that question. I would have liked it if because here's the thing I like about it. I'll put it this way.
The blueprints also builds upon the fact that all of these women are so out of their element, and they try so many different things and ways to understand what the blueprints are. Like, that takes up a big chunk of the movie.
Exactly. It takes up so much chunk, which we could have gotten in like other elements.
It builds on that character development of that they are inept and they aren't, prepared for this thing.
I guess you're making good arguments today.
I fucking know, man.
Where was this when we were doing? I don't know. I'll think of an episode.
Who wrote the screenplay? I'm here for you, guy.
It's Gillian Flynn and Steve McQueen. Gillian Flynn wrote Gone Girl, I believe.
So all of these things that feel like tropes or feel like unnecessary, I would wager or argue that they are in fact necessary.
I think you can show that she is a dependent woman and then grows into being an independent woman without having it tied into like, I got to figure out what these blueprints are going for. Because basically what happens is she ends up sort of selling herself as an escort or something like that.
Yeah.
And it shows that like as a woman getting out of a relationship with an abusive person, she doesn't really know how to, I don't even know to say take care of herself, but she doesn't know how to become independent.
Right.
Probably the best word. And so she attaches herself to someone who at first glance doesn't appeal to be a bad guy, but wants to turn her into a commodity. And I liked that because at the end of the movie, she is an independent person.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt that the way it was handled was just a little overly.
But dude, like that, her relationship with him, and like shacking up with him 2 months after her husband's dead and stuff, leads to one of the best emotional scenes of the movie where Viola Davis slaps her in the face and she slaps her right back. It was like, I'm not taking this shit, not from him, not from you.
You're winning me over, baby.
Come on, Rob.
No. Look, I do agree that's good. I just didn't think that
I didn't think she was gonna slap her back. That was took me by surprise.
Do you think they really slapped each other?
That'd be cool if they did.
Looked real.
It sounded real.
I think the only thing that I would have liked better is if instead of one person, it shows that she's sleeping around with all sorts of people to get by, and that would have made her independence that much stronger. It's because she comes from like a place where she attaches her worth to a man and then builds it out by completely shunning that at the end. At the end, is she on a date?
It's not expressed.
Yeah.
It could be a friend, sister, relative, whoever.
That's the only thing. The other character that I thought was,
I think you're just supposed to get the idea that she's having a better life than she was.
Yeah, fair enough. I felt that the preacher guy in the end didn't really do much, and I felt that was kind of whatever.
Yeah, he was that. Okay, I'll take your side on that. The preacher guy, he's supposed to like have the most far-reaching congregation in the district, and his endorsement like means so much or whatever.
At the end of the movie, it's fucking bupkis.
Yeah, it really didn't.
I know why they're doing it. They're doing it to show that like a guy like him will sell out, his fellow black people of the ward, 18th ward or whatever, to Mulligan just for money and connections, essentially.
Yep.
That's what they're doing that for. Because in the end, Colin Farrell wins. He becomes the alderman at the end.
And it's weird because you don't really know who to root for in that situation.
Yeah, they're both kind of pieces of shit.
Right.
So you don't like either of them.
Like, you want to root for Farrell's character, be along the lines of like his dad's a piece of shit and maybe he could do better and yada yada. And then you also want to root for God, what was his character's name?
Jamal.
Yeah, you want to vote. You want to root for Jamal because like he's supposed to be a man of the people, but he's also a fucking criminal.
I say Jamal like I'm sure. I'm still like 69% sure it's Jamal.
And you want to root for him because he's like supposed to be like a man of the people, or whatever, and he's like the underdog. But at the same time, he runs an operation where he
literally murders a man.
Yeah, dude. Like they're both kind of bad people.
Yeah. At the beginning of the movie, he did a really good job of convincing me that he's not that, which I thought was very interesting. Like when they first meet, when Colin Farrell and him first go into that little brick building or whatever, and like little itty bitty church. He
Yeah,
does a
where he's
good.
running his campaign from.
Yeah, he does a good job of convincing me that he is.
He's at least trying to be straight laced.
Yeah, well, like he's like, you're a silver spoon guy, and you don't drink our water or breathe our air, but you want to be our alderman, blah blah. And I was like, yeah, you tell this smug son of a bitch, and then it realizes like, oh, he's a brutal like drug dude or drug lord or whatever. I was like, oh no. So I thought that was handled pretty well. But yeah, in the end, I felt that the preacher guy was unnecessary.
That's the only one that I'll kind of agree with you with. Like,
I liked the sermon that he gives because it shows what a hypocrite he is.
mhm.
Because he's talking about you can't be a hypocrite and you have to be compassionate to people even when you don't like them, because that's what compassion is. And then also, I'm gonna make a deal with this ruthless gangster to get him into a position of power. So he's really a piece of shit too. He's a liar. So I liked that part of it, but nothing really comes of it, and it feels.
Who is the
superfluous.
least like actual piece of shit character in this movie?
Probably like Michelle Rodriguez. She's the only one that feels like she wouldn't. Because like her husband gambles.
All right,
but
even though she killed a guy, I would wager that Belle, the Cynthia Erivo's character, the driver,
yeah,
even though she kills Robert Duvall, I think she's the best. I think she's
the best person.
the least piece of shit.
Nice, cool. I agree with that.
Just think about it. Well, I don't know. She did like abandon her own kid just to go watch some other kids for a job.
That's just her. She needs money. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Because there are other moms there.
Okay, so Michelle Rodriguez, his character.
I think she. I mean, what is the best? In a den of thieves, the nicest thief is the one who only takes a little of your money. But like, I think that she's the most resilient character, and she's the one that I like the most. She's the one who because her husband's a gambling douchebag and sells their shop without her knowing, and because of his
Never really owned it in the first place.
Yeah, and like whereas like Viola Davis's character, she knows what her husband is.
Yeah.
Alice knows what her husband is. So like the other lady helps Liam Neeson hide from Viola Davis. So they're all kind of complicit.
Yeah.
Whereas Michelle Rodriguez doesn't feel like that. And also, I like Michelle Rodriguez in this movie a lot. I was really surprised by how good she was. So, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Daniel Kaluuya and how his death at the end I felt was really underwhelming.
Dude, it was like super brutal. So like,
He,
okay,
like,
after
kinda
they do
loses
the
control and wrecks
after
it.
they do the big heist on Colin Farrell's like house or whatever,
Yep.
they'd like take the money, all this money that he had like gotten, ill-gotten money from his safe or whatever, and they're about to make their getaway when all of a sudden he pulls up,
He's
holds
got a
him-
gun to Belle's head. And he's
Yep.
in the front seat with her.
and
So that was good.
takes off with their van and their money, leaves them just stranded on the street. Next thing you know, you see him driving around and he's like feeling good about himself. He's like cackling, cracking up, having a great time. Oh, I just fucking got
Listening to the debate.
all our money plus $3 million back.
A very
like,
well-read gangster.
He is. Yeah, he's
tuning
listening
into
to, like-
NPR to listen to the debate.
Yeah, he's listening to like podcasts and all kinds of
No,
stuff.
he's listening to the debate between Colin Farrell and Jamal.
Oh yeah.
He was like, "You make a good point, man." I thought it was funny.
But and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like this station wagon rams him from behind.
Yeah, literally 2 minutes later, I was like, "Can we get like a little?"
I don't want to know how they got the car. I
No,
don't
I
want to
don't-
know
I
if they had it. I don't want to know if they had it on standby. I don't want to know if they hot
No,
wired
they
it.
did it. They improvised. There's no way they were planning on him doing that.
No.
You wouldn't have that kind of a risk because he puts a gun up to someone's head. He could have murdered them. Like you don't take that kind of risk. So they definitely didn't plan it or have it standing by.
But then they ram
just-
him from behind. He loses control and hits like a divider under like this overpass.
They hit him like going 30 miles an hour. It just wasn't very convincing to me. You know what I would have liked better? Just, I would have liked it if it was an actual chase. They did a cool chase scene in the beginning of this movie. Like, do another one. It doesn't have to be like John Wick, where he's using the car to kill people or whatever, or something ridiculous like that.
The one in the beginning wasn't even really a chase scene. It was just like a
Getaway or whatever.
like I said, it was the most realistic looking fucking
But it was
like getaway.
But it was intense and cool, and it wasn't
Right.
like we tap you on the thing and
it
you
was
ran
so
into a
visceral, but
divider.
at the same time, like, oh my god, this is how it really happens.
What if Belle punched him in the face using her boxing stuff?
She would have got shot in the face.
No, she wouldn't have. She's a tough cookie, man. No, but I wanted something better than that, and I felt for all the evilness of him, he goes out like such a little mark ass bitch. I wanted something just a little better than that. I mean, I know it's not an action movie, but
I like that though. I like the fact that he just, gets his face bashed in by the steering wheel and he's dead. Like it's so quick and like.
me no likey. Sorry, I understand that you like it.
Like I get that you want this over the top stuff,
don't want
Rob,
over
but
the top.
I love that so much of this movie is so downplayed.
Well, why would you
I
can
think
look.
that's one of the best parts about the movie. They're not going on some like big bank heist. They're stealing money from some, this little safe in this guy's house.
But there's 4 of them, and they
you
have
know?
guns, and like they could have done some. I wanted something better than just like he wrecks his car, and that's our big victory. And I was like, I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like this, there's little things like that that stop this movie from me from being like this movie is great, from being like this movie is really solid. But I would have liked something a little more. I don't even want to say like a big shootout or something like clever, because they're clever. That's the thing about them is they get what they want in this movie by being clever, not by being ham-fisted. And I would have liked either.
I would say it's the opposite. I say they get what they want by fucking getting what they want because they're not the smartest or
They do
anything
it
like that.
like they all get what they need by being clever, though. Alice gets her gun by pretending to be a woman,
Yeah.
victimized, like little things like that. Michelle Rodriguez tracks down the architect by saying she's an architect. Like,
Yeah.
there's lots of little things like that. You know what would have been great?
But it's like improvisational stuff.
You know what would have been great? They were testing out, like the weight of the money.
That was cool. That was one of my most favorite scenes of the movie.
You know what would have been great?
When they had the backpacks and they were like, okay, this is what $3 million in like $100 bills feels like. Okay, now put this backpack on. This is $3 million in $5 bills.
Yeah.
See the difference? And like stuff like that. Like I was like, that's great. Nothing ever shows you that. Like, oh, that was so cool. Like I love that scene.
That's only $3 million. Next time you watch a movie like Heat when they're stealing 40 million, you're gonna be like, "That's bullshit."
Bullshit.
They need a tractor trailer.
If this was D&D, you'd be encumbered and cannot move.
Yes, -4 movement.
Yeah.
But I feel like what would have been great. Here's a great thing. They planning a contingency where they give him the money, but they have backup bags filled with like bullshit money. So let's say like they are.
But Rob, okay, if
Like
you were gonna pull that job, is that something you would have thought of?
Yes.
Or is that something
Yes, I
that
would've.
it would even be
I thought of it just now.
actually feasible?
Yes, I think you could do that. Just buy 2 of the same bags, fill some up, and then when you come up to the
They
car.
don't have the time for that. They're trying to get in, get out.
But I'm saying it's like, okay, I'm spitballing here, but I'm just saying like, is the way it resolves the best way that it could resolve? That is the most
I'm
satisfying
not saying it's
to a viewer.
the best or the most satisfying. I'm saying it's the realest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if it is the realist. People get shot in the face stealing banks all the time. It's like something like that would have been a little more enjoyable. It just soured me because his character spends a lot of time being like horrible, and his comeuppance is he drives into a divider. No, it's like it just wasn't that much to me. Did you did the scene where they killed the driver? I can't remember his name. Manny or something like that, probably. The scene where they.
Oh yeah.
Were you like
Bert? What's his face?
Yeah.
What's that actor's name? Oh, I can't even remember.
But were you like really uncomfortable? Because I was like, ugh.
Oh yeah, dude.
I didn't even think they killed him at first. I thought first they just
beat him up or
and
whatever.
send him his ring, and I was like, oh no, they killed him, and I was like,
What does he say? Give him a 2-piece.
yeah,
Give him a 2-piece biscuit, and that's code for beat the shit out of him.
yeah, because his Jamal at quotations, because that may not be his name, tells him don't touch the woman, but it's weird that he beats up the person that drives her. Do you think he would have been okay with that if he knew? Because I don't think he knows.
Yeah, but I think like he also could probably tell he was lying or something, like
Maybe. All right, we can start wrapping this up if you want. Any final thoughts? Any negative that bugged you or anything like that?
The negatives, some of the twists, like Liam Neeson actually I thought that he was behind orchestrating the whole thing. In reality, he didn't want her to go and steal dude's money and double cross a double cross.
Yeah.
We learned that at the end. Like, he just wanted her to give up the notebook and let that be
Oh.
the end of it.
What was his end game, though?
So really, what you would initially think, like, that once you learn Liam Neeson's alive, right?
Yeah.
You initially start to think, oh shit, he's gonna double cross Colin Farrell's character, which is like a double cross on the double cross that he pulled on his team for Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
And using his wife to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking.
Did you like the way she figures out he's alive with the dog?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was pretty classy. Something. Yeah, that was good. Did you so it's revealed that their kid is shot by the police when he's driving their car to a game or something.
I felt like I'm two-sided on that.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh man, really? This is how this happens, and why are you showing us this late in the movie when it doesn't have any real effect on, the emotional impact of the movie at this point? But at the same time, the way he gets shot and stuff, that's like how that shit happens, man.
Yeah. I actually thought it was,
And I felt like it was poignant in that fact because it was so like, wow, like so fucking like.
I thought it was very well handled. I thought I wanted that's what I'm saying is like they leave a lot of gaps in between their life, Liam Neeson and Viola Davis's life, and I would have liked a little more detail and context so that I could feel like their relationship was really strong, so that when they eventually have to betray each other at the end or whatever, it feels more.
I like it better
heartbreaking.
like that, like because you see all of the emotion and stuff that they're portraying,
But there's no
like
depth
in the
behind it.
post time,
Yeah.
and all that you know is that something really traumatic happened.
Yeah.
You don't get to see like the initial fallout from that at all. You just see the one like 3 minute section of their lives
Yeah.
in which it all just came like crumbling or whatever.
That's good, but it feels like what it is. Like it's a bunch of bits and pieces that we're sort of cobbling together, and I feel like I didn't feel nothing when I saw when they finally confront each other at the end. But I was like, if I knew more, I'd care more. That's what I'm saying. Which is not to say that I didn't care at all. And I felt that was like one of the best. I talked earlier about how like there was some racial stuff in the movie, and I was mixed on some of it. That was the one that I thought was handled the best. There's parts like early
That
on
their
in
son dies because he's borrowing the car.
Yeah.
He's on the phone, not paying attention.
Yeah.
Pulls something out of the glove box
with his dad. He's on the
Right.
phone with his dad. Too.
Makes a U-turn, gets pulled over because of making the U-turn, and he's still on the phone with his dad. Cops are like, "Hey, put your hands up," and he's like, "Go into the glove box for registration or whatever." Probably just being nonchalant.
Yeah.
They fucking shoot him.
Sure. No, yeah.
And it happens so quick.
Yeah. That was in like probably 5-6 seconds. The part that I thought that was one of the better ones. One of the worst ones I thought was like right when Colin Farrell and his lady go to meet Jamal, quotations again. But as they walk in there, someone says something to his lady, whose name I can't remember. But he says something like, "Hey, girl, I got good credit." And I was like, that's a really stereotypy thing, and I didn't like it very much.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
I did like, all the scenes where they're like walking from a car to a building, or from when Belle's walking, like running from her apartment to the bus, like.
Yeah.
All the cat calling and all of like the just what one would hear in like a densely, urban populated city like that, like, and you can tell that she's visibly
She doesn't like it.
either shaken, annoyed, something. You can
Yeah.
tell that it doesn't sit well with her.
Yeah, she doesn't really like it, which is why she probably boxes and stuff, because she knows she's around like a lot of those people. Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think you're supposed to feel the same thing. That's why I think he does it. I don't think the director puts that stuff in to make you like. I don't think he does it because he thinks it's a good idea or anything. Or it's a good idea, but I don't think he puts it in to sort of contribute some sort of racial stereotype. I think he puts it in because he's like, this is like
He wants you to feel.
this is the atmosphere that
Yeah.
she would have to grow up in or whatever. I was gonna say one more thing. I can't remember. Did you like the ending? Yeah, that was it. The ending, the way it ends.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, me too. That was good. Because it's almost like a lot of people in this movie don't get character arcs. The movie is more about, it's not about character arc. It's about, we got to get the thing so we can get back to the way we were. We don't want
Mhm.
to change. We want to get back to exactly how we were at the beginning of the movie, more or less.
Yeah.
But Viola Davis says literally in the movie, after this, I'm never seeing you guys again, and you're on your own or whatever. And then she sees Alice at the diner, and then she looks kind of, they look kind of, I don't know, like not angry, but like just indifferent or whatever. She looks very indifferent towards her. And at the end of the movie,
They look surprised, like they want to
Yeah.
avoid each other.
yeah. And then at the end, she goes out to the car to meet Alice, and she has like a smile on her face, which implies that maybe she does kind of care about them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very good.
Warm fuzzies. You
Yeah.
liked that it ended on a warm fuzzy.
I guess. It did the Sopranos ending where it ends kind of mid thing that's about to happen or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything else? That's everything I can think of.
No, think Steve McQueen. You know, man, if it wasn't a home run, it was at least a triple play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a solid movie. I would want to see if he does more like this. Again, this isn't an action movie, but he shows that he can like handle bigger stuff than like dramas and stuff like that, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. So I wouldn't mind seeing him do another thing like this.
Also,
maybe.
he's got some really cool tricks up his sleeve as far as just in terms of photography itself. Like you mentioned, the car ride from one neighborhood to another, that shot, the tracking shot of Belle running from the apartment to the bus, stuff like that. Like really good stuff.
Mhm.
Really good visceral, putting you in
And
there
he doesn't,
kind of stuff.
and it's not just good photography. Like it's like the car scene is really good because it's not just, oh, that's it. I mean, an idiot could put a gimbal or whatever on the front of the car and
Right.
just film it as it drives. But it's, you're filming him pandering towards African Americans about being their alderman as he goes back to his gated community.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, while he says sort of racially
He
charged
tells
things.
a story in traversal,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing.
Yeah. And that's,
Even with the police chase at the very beginning of the movie.
yeah, like the photography is in itself interesting, but the stuff that he puts around the photography is like
Makes it that much
It's called
better.
direction. It's actually is probably the best word for it. And he actually weaves interesting themes into the story using, you know, the photography and the scene working together in really good ways, which I thought was very interesting.
Really
Yeah.
talented guy. I want to see him do more stuff.
Yes, and you should go watch those other movies that he's done. I think you'd probably like them.
I plan on it.
Yeah, you don't have to. I don't care, but I like them, and I'll
I
definitely.
might not do Shame, but I definitely Hunger sounds good.
Shame might be his,
And I know I need to watch 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Like
Shame
that's
might-
overdue.
Shame might be the best one.
Really.
Yeah, it's, look, you'll be uncomfortable because it's a movie about like being a sex addict slash.
I'd watch it by myself. I wouldn't watch it with another
Oh,
person.
what do you think we're gonna go? You want to go watch it downstairs, have a party? No, like I watched it by myself on my laptop, and it might be like his most. I'm not gonna say like his magnum opus, but it feels like his most
His heaviest.
his heaviest film with the subject matter. Although talking about like hunger strikes
Really?
in prisons is pretty heavy,
Slavery
too.
wasn't his heaviest subject matter.
Well, because in Shame he deals with, like, I don't want to give a lot of it away. One, there's great performances. It's Michael Fassbender, I think Carey Mulligan, and it deals with how like a lot of these people who end up that way have histories of horrible sexual abuse and stuff, and it piles on top of you.
I could
Like
dig
that.
it. I
And
can dig it.
it's really heavy, and it kind of ruins his life. Him and his sister, his sister's played by Carey Mulligan, have a very unstable relationship, and it's really harmful. And at the moment that his life of debauchery is, destabilized a little bit by her showing up, he spirals out of control. And I think that's why it's so good. And it's really like kudos to Michael Fassbender for crying in the rain. There's a scene in the movie where I'm not going to spoil the context, but that's one of the heaviest moments of the movie, and some really bad stuff just happened. And he walks out of like this hospital, and he's like walking towards the beach or something, and it's slightly raining, and they're just sort of following him the whole way, and he just sort of stops, and he just starts crying, and he can't stop. And it's like 5 minutes, and it's really good. That guy's a really good actor.
You ever
So
see
good
that?
he
What's that?
improved. So good he improved Assassin's Creed into like a watchable movie by his raw acting.
What's that movie where he has the whole paper mache thing on his head the whole time?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't
It's
remember.
a Frank. Have you seen Frank?
I have not. But
Dude, you got to watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest Fassbender movies I've seen, but it's good.
yeah. When was the last time you saw him in something you didn't like?
Oh, probably that Steve Jobs.
Really? I thought he
didn't
was
like
great
Steve
in that.
Jobs. Maybe just my hatred of Apple in general. It was like I don't like Steve Jobs.
I have an iPhone. I'm sorry. I think he's great. I'm trying to think like he was in Band of Brothers back in 2002.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah, he was.
Yeah, like he plays like very brief kind of glimpses. He was in 300 for a while. So that's the first role I remember him in is We'll Fight in the Shade. And then he's in First Class. Then he's in all the other X-Men movies and stuff. He's in all sorts of like these big movies, and I can't think of a single one where I'm like he's awful.
He was in
here.
Prometheus.
Prometheus. Yes, that's another great one. Like there's all sorts
That's one of my favorite ones with him in it,
Yeah.
honestly. And I'm not a big horror guy or even a big, like Alien
I don't
fan
even
or
like
anything.
I don't even like Prometheus that much,
But
I think he's great.
I think
in it.
he's great in it.
Yeah, he's even better in Alien Covenant. Which is
Oh, I forgot, Rob. We can't end without this. This was supposed to be part of the movie news at the beginning of the cast.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise released a video disparaging your TV's smooth
my
motion
not
stuff.
mine in particular. He was like
Anyone's-
somewhere in Arkansas. There is a young man who
no,
is not a
you is in the
Scientologist.
audience. Yours in the audience.
Yeah.
Turn off your smooth motion, guys.
I will not.
Stop watching your movies at like 120 hertz. It's ridiculous. It makes it look not what the director intended, and it honestly makes me motion sickness.
Tom Cruise, if you want me to turn off my motion sickness, you can bring you and the rest of your Scientologist Galactic Lord C News to my house and physically
It's bad.
make me do
Like
this,
when we were watching,
and I will knife fight
like
you.
when we were watching,
I will fight you, Tom
look,
Cruise.
when we were watching John Wick on your TV,
Yeah.
like that was legit hurting my eyes.
But you got to see all those awesome headshots.
No,
in stunning
dude.
HD.
HD is fine. That like pixel quality is fine. We're talking about putting in extra frames and smoothing over them when the movie is not supposed to be viewed that way. It's 32 frames a second, my man. That's how a movie is supposed to be
It's
viewed.
24 frames a second.
Whatever.
Yeah. I understand I'm in the minority. I love it.
It looks
I
like a
can't wait.
fucking soap opera, and it's awful.
I think it looks great. I
It's
love
awful.
the realism. I want it to be as real as possible.
All
I
right,
want it to
movie
look like
fans,
your next
how
one.
do you like to watch your movies? Do
No,
you like to
no,
watch it
look,
old school?
I'm not
Or do you
arguing.
like to watch it with all this newfangled technology
I-
that makes it look like as the world turns,
They
so
will-
is every one of your movies?
They will all agree with you. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that I know I'm in the minority, but like I like it.
Like that's fine for like watching live sports on
Like,
TV
here's the
or
thing.
your video games. Like
Here's-
that's great technology
Yeah.
for that, but not for a feature film, Rob.
I especially like it when it's on a movie that's like big and has like an ostentatious visuals. to it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like if it's a movie like Cloud Atlas or something.
Like
that
if
has
you're
like
gonna
a lot
put that
of,
on like a Transformers movie, for instance, like I'm not saying like like Michael Bay is great or anything, but if you're gonna put it on something like that, it's gonna look like even more hot garbage.
Yeah, I don't know. I just disagree. I like it.
Well, it looks like our movie date is over
You look so bitter about that.
and ended because we couldn't go Dutch
I'm
on
not-
the idea of true motion technology.
I don't even like. Here's the thing. Like I said, I agree that I am in the minority. I like it, and it's just at first I didn't like it. Like I was like everybody else, but when I started watching movies and I just got used to it, I was like, I like the extra stuff. Like I watched Warcraft the other day, and like those motion capture orcs, I was like, those are real orcs. Those aren't fake. Those are like the realest thing ever. You can see all the little dimples of his hair where his
Like,
beard would grow.
Rob, I'm not talking about picture quality, like your 4K or whatever.
But that's
is
part of
fine.
it though. Like that's part like when you up the pixel quality and stuff, when you up the motion clarity,
No, I'm
you
talking
get rid of
about-
blur. Like that's the thing. But he's saying you need the blur because the blur is actually helpful. And I guess he's not wrong. Like it's not a thing you can be right or wrong about. It's just like he's like, this is the actual frame rate or whatever that movies are filmed in. I'm like, yeah, but then you just double it with a TV that has higher the frame rate or whatever, which is fine.
Well, tell us. We'll ask the audience.
You
All right,
already
listeners.
you asked the audience earlier. Are you doubling down?
Well, I'm asking our audience, not my
all 9 of
not
you.
my other audiences. Listeners, tell us what you think.
Other audiences?
I've got a sizable following on the internet.
I feel insecure now. I'm jealous now.
I'm gonna get a Twitter soon.
Nice.
Stoked on that.
You should start one for the movie date. You should do it.
All right, tell us, listeners, would you like to see updates from an official Twitter page? And also, tell us what you think about TrueMotion and, refresh rates on your TVs. What do you think about that? Yay, nay, in the middle?
They're going to agree with you. They're going to be like, I don't like it, and I don't use it. And I'm like, that's fine.
I don't know. You might have some people who are on your side, Rob.
I doubt it. I clicked on that link that you sent me on Facebook, and I actually went through it and just read the comments. And aside the ones that were very funnily like, I wish I could get Tom Cruise off my TV. Aside from all the sick burns on Tom Cruise, most of them were like, oh, I hate it. It's the worst. Why do they even have it? And I was like, because it's an option and you can turn it off. And I was like, that's why. But you can also yeah, just to be clear, the TV downstairs, like you don't have to keep that on. If you want, we can turn it on.
I've asked you to turn it like off a million times.
I did for John Wick when you asked me to.
No, you just turned it down.
Yeah, that's what you. I mean, that's what you want, though, right?
I want it off.
If you turn it all the way down, then it gets really juddery. So I turn it like halfway down, so it's not like it doesn't look like it's vibrating or something. It actually doesn't look very good. But
well,
anyway.
Regardless,
do you have anything you want to plug, bro? Aren't you doing like an MC thing soon?
Well,
we might have already done it.
I'm doing like a roast battle show, but that'll be over by the time this comes out.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
We don't know what our next movie will be or when it's gonna really come out. I've been really busy lately. So it's getting a little harder to go on these movie dates and get in the stewed, but
Fantastic Beasts? No? The new Fantastic Beast movie. I was asking.
I mean, you can go see that.
I've already seen it. It's fine. It's
thinking
it's a giant setup movie for the next movie, which is what we really want to see.
I was wanting to do Green Book.
Me too.
There's
all sorts of good little dramas out that I can't there's too many of them. Hollywood, can you stop making so many feature films? And
yeah, we need to watch like Boy Erased and fucking like mid-90s and all this stuff.
Mid-90s is gone. You're never seeing it again, Zach. It's gonna be your ever escaped muse. You'll always be chasing it.
Oh well.
It'll probably come out on Blu-ray or something you can find.
Well, that about does it for us here at the movie date with Rob and Zach.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe to our cast at podbean.com and YouTube.
Yes. And subscribe to Horizon Studios on Facebook. Zach's going to start a Twitter page for the channel.
So stay tuned for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And we might see Green Book next week or the next movie. Maybe not next week.
We'll get it to you as soon as we can, fine folks, and we appreciate you for listening.
Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye.